Okay. Good morning, guys. So, good morning, guys. As we discussed before, today would be the last demo session, guys. Okay. Today we are going to So this is the batch tracker sheet for this particular July 2024 batch, and also we have a WhatsApp group for every batch. So those who confirm your joining, please make sure that you are added to the WhatsApp group. Okay. So this is July 2024 WhatsApp group. And then we have a class notes document where I am sharing all the material, training material, or notes that is explained in the session, right? And then we also have a playlist URL for every batch. Okay. So this is the playlist URL for this batch. Let me quickly show you that. This is the playlist URL for July 2024 batch. And as we discussed before, we added mobile performance testing also from the current batch. Previously, we did not cover that in any batch, but from the current batches, we added this mobile performance testing as well. All right. Okay, then. So now let me go to the batch tracker sheet. So we started, this batch, and I gave a demo on 8th July, and then these are all, theory part that we discussed, theory part and fundamentals. What is SDLC? What is testing lifecycle? What is performance testing? Right? What are the reasons for doing PT for an already existing application and a newly developed application? By the way, this also I had shared this session yesterday, guys. All the recorded sessions are uploaded. Okay, uploaded and shared as shared to you. Right? I hope those who joined last week. I hope you completed those. Manisha and others who joined last week. So did you complete those?
No, I haven't done. I'll just do it.
All right. Okay. So now today let us discuss what are the so I see one more new joinee called Lavanya. May I know Lavanya, which Lavanya is this?
Lavanya.
Okay. So is this your first session today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right then. So let us discuss today what are the, so in the last session, I just gave an introduction to different types of performance testing, isn't it? So we discussed this slide and I gave an introduction to different types of performance testing. So today we are going to discuss in detail each of these different types of performance testing. And I will show you some graphs and you will be able to identify what type of graph, what type of test does that graph best represents. What type of test does that? So basically each graph represents one of the different types of performance testing, right? You need to identify, you will be able to identify what type of test does that graph best represents. Yeah, 19th video is not uploaded, correct. I'm having some issues with that recorded session. So it did not get converted into MP4 actually. So I'll work on it today. I'll try to convert it and I'll upload it today. Okay. So each of these graph represents one different types of performance testing. So you'll be able to identify what type of graph does that, what type of test does that graph best represents. All right. So what are the different types of performance testing before we move to that, what are the different types of performance testing, Sevamani? Sevamani, are you able to hear me? What are the different types of performance testing?
Load testing,
Right, load testing.
stress testing,
Okay. So after load testing, I told one more important type of testing that is required for any application.
Endurance testing.
Right. So car endurance testing. Perfect. That is the second one. After load testing, every application requires so car endurance testing. Right. Then comes like your stress testing and all this. What are the other types of testing? Ramya? Ramya, what are the other types of testing, Ramya?
Spike testing, volume testing, scalability testing.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Right. So these are the guys, you need to remember this. So you need to remember this. First one is load testing. Okay. First important type of testing is load testing and then soak testing. So these two are first important. So you need to tell in this order. And then stress testing, spike testing, volume testing, scalability testing. Because you need to follow this order because they will ask you what are the, they will ask you what is the purpose of each type of testing. Okay. You should be able to answer, not only different types of performance testing, but also you would answer like what is the purpose of each type of testing. Okay. And we'll have quick assessment daily like this. So please, I'll be asking randomly. Please be ready for that. Okay. All right. So and go through the, go through this class notes document. Okay. I'm writing it down here, isn't it? You see here, I'm writing it down here. And if you, some people are, you'll be taking running notes also, right? So please go through that once after the session. All right. So first let us discuss, load testing. So I'll go to slideshow mode and, let us discuss one by one. What is load testing? So load testing is the first and foremost one. The first and foremost type of testing that will be done will be load testing. And usually it simulates current user load on the system, current user load or normal user load on the system, right? And it is usually done for 1 to 2 hours. The duration will be 1 to 2 hours. And what is the purpose of load testing? Load testing ensures that the application is stable and can handle expected peak load. Did anyone check the JHMC website, guys, after the session? Any one of you? What did you check? What is the max load in a particular day, in any day? No one checked it, right? Or did anyone check that? Did anyone see a number more than 25,000? What happened? This page is not loading. Okay. See, right now we have 22,000, approximately 22,000 users. I asked you to check at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. Did anyone check that? What is the maximum load on this website? Or maximum number of visitors on this website? It will be around 35 to 40,000, right? So load testing is load testing is load testing is done for 1 to 2 hours, and it simulates the yes.
Sorry.
1 to 2 hours, and it ensures that the application is stable and can handle expected peak load. Expected peak load means if you take this GHMC website example, the peak load will be around 35 to 40,000. Okay. If possible, I'll check that at around 11 o'clock. Anyways, you are not checking, right? I'll check at 11 or 12 o'clock and I'll share you a screenshot of this. All right. And load test is the mandatory test that should be done prior to any other performance test type. So every application, for any application, load test is the mandatory test that should be done prior to any other performance test type, right? Without doing load testing, you will not do any other performance testing. So load testing is the first and foremost one. Clear, guys? Any queries? I'll take a pause here. Any queries? Any queries, guys? Okay. Let's move to the next one. So the next type of testing is soak or endurance test. Endurance test means the general meaning of endurance is long duration, higher duration, right? So the next type of testing is soak or endurance test. Endurance test is conducted for longer durations based on business hours of the application, right? So long duration test is also called as endurance test, soak or endurance test, right? And how long is it? It depends on the business hours of the application. How long should we do the testing depends on business hours of the application. It can be 4 hours or it can be 8 hours or it can be 16 hours. Okay. Need not be multiple of 4, but it can be 12 hours or 13 hours or 14 hours also. Right. So it depends on the business hours of the application, or 1 day or 3 days. Now let us discuss, what is meant by business hours of the application. So if you take any application, right, for example, if you take any if you take any banking application, not net banking, banking application. So when I say banking application, see, there are, there is a net banking application. Let's take SBI or ICICIbank.com. Okay. So this is net banking application, isn't it? Everyone knows that ICICIbank.com is the net banking application for ICICI Bank end users like you and me, isn't it? As an end user, we will be using this ICICIbank.com website if you are having ICICI account, isn't it, guys? Now, for any payments or fund transfer or etc. But if you go to a bank to deposit a cash or withdraw cash, will the bank employee also use the same application, guys? If you go to a bank for depositing or withdrawing cash, will bank employee also use the same application? Guys, am I audible?
He might use it, but
No.
he might having a different login.
No, they will not use the same application. They won't. This is only for end users like you and me. They will not use the same application. They will use a desktop application. They'll use a desktop application or thick client application. What is a desktop application? We already discussed it, isn't it? What is a desktop application? A thick client application installed on our machine, right? That is called as a desktop application. Thick client applications installed on our, oh, here it is. Okay. Zoom workplace. Installed on our machine is called as a desktop application, isn't it? Like WhatsApp or Zoom, or like in the same way, bank employees use most of the banks in India are using an application called Finacle. Did you hear this software, about this software? Anyone? What is Finacle? Finacle is I think FINA. Yeah. Finacle Universal Banking Solution. So this is a core banking solution developed by our Infosys. Finacle is a core banking solution developed by Infosys. Right. In India, most of the banks are using this Finacle. So bank employees will not use, like net banking application like us. You take any bank. Bank employees does not use a net banking web application like this. But they will be using some core banking application called Finacle, because it need to have a lot of features, isn't it? It will be quite different from our Finacle core banking. So this is the industry leading universal banking solution by Edgeverve Systems. Edgeverve is the subsidiary of Infosys. Clear, guys? You can see on the Infosys website, Bank of Commerce selects Infosys Finacle suite for its core banking solution, isn't it? For its core banking transformation. So this is the Infosys product. Finacle is the Infosys product that is used by majority of the banks. You can see here Infosys Finacle, part of Edgeverve Systems. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of Infosys. You need not remember all this, but remember this product called Finacle. Okay. Now they will be using Finacle. Bank employees will be using a product called Finacle, which is a core banking solution that will be installed on their machines. Now, now how many hours they will be using that, guys? How many hours does that bank employees works? Usually it will be from 10 a.m. to, yes, 5 p.m. Usually they
4
will work from 10
p.m.
a.m. to 5 p.m., isn't it? So these are the business hours of that application. Suppose you are testing Finacle application. Now you need to do soak testing for 8 hours for this Finacle application. That is what it means. That is why we are discussing this. 8 business hours. The number of business hours will be 8 hours. Right? Clear, guys? See, they may be closing the cash hours. They may be closing for cash. They may be closing the cash counter, but they will be doing the back end operations, or they will be they'll be doing other work, till 5 p.m. Yes or no, guys? Anyone having friends in working in banks, any private bank or government bank? Please check, what is the software that they are using. Okay. Just ask them what is the software that they are using. Most of the employees will say Finacle. Okay. Now, if you take any other application like LIC, okay, if you go to LIC and let us take some other example. Suppose let us take Amazon example. Okay. From what time, or else take WhatsApp. I think this is the best example that I can say here. Let us take WhatsApp. How many hours, business hours will be there for WhatsApp? Means for how many hours in a day WhatsApp will be used, guys? At what time you usually start in the morning? Guys, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. At what time,
Sounds
WhatsApp will be, used by users, most of the users?
Mostly from 7 o'clock.
Mostly from
7
7
o'clock.
o'clock?
Or 7:30.
Right. Okay. 7 a.m. Till what time? Usually,
10
so
o'clock.
you can tell your, from which time to which time you use WhatsApp.
10 o'clock.
Get proper sleep, we can use WhatsApp, sir.
What is it?
We don't get proper sleep, we can use WhatsApp. We don't have specific time limit.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm asking most of the users. Most of the users use from, let's say, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Yes or no? Hey, don't say 10 o'clock. Yes, when I update my status at 10, after 10 o'clock also, I usually get more views. Because, maybe more, most of the people finish their dinner and free at that time, after 10. So, even if I update my status after 10 p.m., I get around 400 to 500 views by, by midnight, by 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Okay. So usually WhatsApp, what does that mean? Most of the people, watch WhatsApp after dinner, isn't it? I observed
Yes.
many times, guys. I had observed many times when I update my status, like I will get more views after 10 p.m. And moreover, like I don't want to disturb after 10 p.m. Usually, if I want to send an update, I keep it in status format, in the status form. Okay. Because I am not supposed to, after 10 or 11, I am not supposed to send any messages late night, right? That's why I update it. I keep it in my WhatsApp status. Okay. Those who are, interested only will watch that, isn't it? So coming back to this, WhatsApp will be usually used from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So how many are these hours? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? 5 hours and then 11, right? So around 16 hours, isn't it? WhatsApp will be used by almost 16 hours in a day. Yes or no? Agree with me?
Yes, sir.
So if you are testing WhatsApp kind of application, if you are doing performance testing for WhatsApp kind of application, you need to do soap testing for 16 hours, as simple as that. At least 16 hours, right? See, after 11 also some users may be using. Before 7 also some users may be using, but we are talking about majority of the users. So business hours of WhatsApp can be considered as around 16 hours, isn't it? So when you are doing, soak testing, if you want to do soak or endurance testing for WhatsApp kind of application, you need to do for at least 16 hours, isn't it? Right? And Insta, WhatsApp or Insta, you can take WhatsApp or Insta also, isn't it? Everyone is after Instagram, right? Everyone is more active on Instagram nowadays. So Facebook and all have become outdated, isn't it? I am seeing a lot of reels, lot of posts, and lot of, useful things also, yeah, on Instagram reels, right? So recently I had shared, someone else reel also about your system configuration, right? So I think it has disappeared after 24 hours. By the way, guys, we got a referral opening in Oracle Hyderabad. The requirement is for 5 to 10 years PT experience. and they are okay with work from home also, but they should be very strong in scripting, and basic Java knowledge is required. They should be having basic Java knowledge. You are seeing my screen, right? I had updated this in my WhatsApp status, right? So please let me know if any of your friends are, if you have any suitable profiles. They should have basic Java knowledge, strong hands-on experience on PT scripting. I got this from one of my ex-manager. Okay, this requirement, he was working in Oracle as a manager. So he was looking for his team. They are okay with work from home also if the candidate is a right candidate. Okay, I know that he will manage that. Okay, usually like Oracle is doing work from office only, but he told that, they're working in hybrid mode basically. But he said like, I can manage that if the candidate is the right candidate, he can manage it. Okay. So now coming back to this. So main objective of soak testing is to identify performance bottlenecks like memory leak, connection leak when an application is used continuously for longer duration. Okay. So the main objective, see, each type of testing has a different purpose. So main objective of, say, for example, load testing is to ensure that the application is stable and can handle expected peak load for shorter duration. Whereas soak test, main objective of soak test is to identify any performance bottlenecks like memory leaks, connection leaks. What is a memory leak and connection leak? We'll discuss that later. Okay, I believe it's too early to discuss this, but we'll discuss this later. What is a memory leak and what is a connection leak? Okay, we'll discuss this later. The main objective of soak testing is to identify if there are any memory leaks or connection leaks when an application is used continuously for longer duration. That is the purpose of a soak test, right? And the next type of testing is stress test. So what is the meaning of a stress test? What is the general meaning of stress?
Pressure.
Pressure or, more load, right? More than expected load, isn't it? So stress testing is done. How do we do stress testing is, we do it by gradual increase of user load. And now in the last session, we discussed what type of applications require stress test, isn't it? In the last session, we discussed what type of applications require a stress test, isn't it? What type of applications require stress test, guys? Yes. Those who attended last session, what type of applications require stress testing?
IRCTC.
IRCTC. Why does IRCTC require stress testing?
Tatkal booking.
No, that is spike testing, right? Tatkal booking is an example of spike testing, isn't it?
Travel
So-
apps during festival days.
Exactly. Who is this? Ramya?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. Exactly. So stress testing, is required. We discussed this example. I gave this example, guys. Whenever there is a festival or a vacation, there will be more number of users on the application, isn't it? There will be more than normal load on the application. Such applications only require stress testing, isn't it? Tatkal booking is an example of spike testing. There will be a sudden surge in the user load. See, from morning to 10 o'clock, there will be normal user load. At 10 o'clock, as soon as the Tatkal window opens, or some users will be, most of the users will be ready 5 minutes before, isn't it? Yes or no, guys? If you want to book a Tatkal ticket, they will be ready. You will be logging into your IRCTC 2 or 3 minutes before, few minutes before, isn't it? And as soon as Tatkal window opens at 10 o'clock, every user will start their transactions. So that is an example of a spike testing, isn't it? So stress testing, travel apps will be having more load whenever there is a festival or a vacation, isn't it? Those applications require stress testing, right? And IRCTC requires both stress and spike also, because it is a travel application and it is also having something called Tatkal booking. So IRCTC requires load testing first, and then soak testing, and then stress, and then spike also, isn't it? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
the main purpose of stress testing is to identify an application's breaking point. What is the purpose of stress testing? To identify an application's breaking point. What is meant by breaking point? At what load your application breaks. Means at what load your application shows degraded performance. Okay, let me show. Yeah, let me share my screen. So what is meant by breaking point of an application is at what time your application will start showing degradation in the performance. Okay. So how is stress testing done? It is done by gradual increase of user load until the application breaks. We gradually increase the user load till the application breaks, right? And when do we say that application has reached breaking point? Or how do we determine that application has reached breaking point is response times and error count increases once breaking point is attained. Once we reach the application's breaking point, your response times, the application response times will increase and error count also increases. The number of errors also increases. Then we determine that the application has reached its breaking point, right? So this is all about stress test. Any queries before I move to the next slide? Guys, any queries before I move to the next slide? Okay, I'll move to the next slide. I'll take your silence as no, right? And we'll have an assessment, guys. We'll have an assessment after this, right? Then we'll understand like how much you understood or how much you are able to assimilate, right? Assimilate means what is meant by assimilate? Assimilate means observe, how much you are able to observe, right? Okay, so the next type of testing is spike testing. So spike testing is done by sudden increase in the user load beyond expected load for shorter duration, right? Best example for this is Tatkal booking, because there will be a sudden increase in the user load during Tatkal window. Tatkal window opens and it will be for a shorter duration, isn't it? Yes or no? Agree with me, guys? How much time does the Tatkal tickets last, or how much time they will be available, guys? From 10 o'clock?
10 to 11.
No, I am asking ఎంతసేపు ఉంటాయి టికెట్స్ తత్కాల్ బుకింగ్ టికెట్స్ or తత్కాల్ quota tickets will be available for how much time? How many minutes?
5
Once
minutes.
5 to 10
5
minutes.
minutes.
5 to 10 minutes, isn't it? So 5 to 10 minutes, there will be a sudden increase in the user load for a shorter duration. So spike testing is done. That is, Tatkal tickets will be available for 5 to 10 minutes or max 15 minutes, isn't it? Thereafter, there will not be much load. There will not be that much load, which we have at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock exactly, isn't it? So spike testing is done by, so for that kind of applications require spike testing also. And spike testing is done by sudden increase in the user load beyond expected load for shorter duration. And spike testing can be considered as a subset of stress testing. Okay, we'll discuss this. So, see, it is called as a subset of stress testing. Okay. And then the next type of testing is volume testing. So ignore this. See, this is important. How do we do spike testing? Which applications require spike testing? That is important. So understand, whatever is highlighted, right? Understand, whatever is highlighted in each type of testing. And then volume testing. Next type of testing is volume testing. Volume testing is done to verify response times when there is huge volume of data in the database. Okay. It is not so important. That's why I did not highlight this. Okay. Even I will disable this also. This is also not so important, right? So, and it is also referred as flood testing. Volume testing is also referred as flood testing. So what is volume testing? It is done to verify the response times when there is huge volume of data in the database. Huge volume of data means, what is meant by huge volume of data? That simply means huge number of records in the database. Huge volume of data means nothing but huge number of records in the database. Okay. And volume testing is done to analyze the system performance by increasing the volume of data in the database. To analyze the system performance by increasing volume of data in the database. Okay. And then scalability testing. Scalability testing is performed to identify if the application is capable to scale up in terms of user load. Right? See, we discussed this in detail in the last session also, I think, right? I think I gave some WhatsApp or Insta example or Facebook example. Scalability testing is performed to identify if the application is capable to scale up in terms of user load. Right? This is for feature user load. I think we discussed here, right? This is testing an application for feature user load. That is scalability testing. Right? And the last type of testing is failure testing. Failover testing is used to verify the application's ability to continue day-to-day operations while the processing part is transferred to a backup environment. This also we discussed in detail in the last session. So please go through the yesterday's session. Those who missed this one, failover testing, right? I gave an example. I gave with real life example, like about this failover testing, isn't it? So please go through that through the yesterday's session, previous session, not yesterday, previous session. Previous session means Friday's session, isn't it? Now, any queries, guys, before we move to the assessment? So these are from load testing, soak testing, stress and spike. These are the most important. And then less important one are volume testing, scalability, and failover testing for you, for your experience. Okay. So for your experience, these would be the most important ones. Load testing, soak testing, stress testing, spike testing. Now, any queries, guys, before we move to the assessment? Okay. If you don't have any queries, let's move on to the assessment then. What is the time now? 8:55. Okay. Right. Now I'll show you some graphs and you need to identify what type of graph does that, what type of test, what type of performance testing does that graph best represents. Right. Before that, let me explain, x-axis and y-axis. So this, most of you may be knowing that this will be horizontal line is called as x-axis, isn't it? And vertical line is called as y-axis, right? You know that, right? We all studied this in your school days, right? So these
Yes.
graphs and all, isn't it? So horizontal line is called as x-axis and vertical line is called as y-axis. And observe here, on x-axis, we will always represent the test duration, the test time, and this is 1 hour. See, the tilde symbol is approximate. That denotes approximate. You know the tilde symbol, right? What is the tilde symbol? On the keyboard, you have it's something called tilde symbol, tilde, isn't it? Right? This one, right? That is read as tilde. Understood, guys? So this is to indicate that approximate. Okay.
Yes.
See, you see here, it means approximate or about or around. Right? Read it as tilde. That is read as tilde. tilde. Clear, guys? You can see the spelling here and you can see the pronunciation. Okay. Now coming back to this. So this is approximately 1 hour. That is what it means. And on y-axis, you have virtual users. Means this is nothing but user load. Number of users on the system. This is user load. That denotes user load or number of users who are accessing the application. Now tell me, what type of test does this graph best represents?
Load test.
Obviously load test, right? Because load test is something which we do for 1 to 2 hours. We had discussed it just now, right? Guys, I want everyone to participate, please. And what type of test does this graph best represents?
Spike test.
Spike testing.
Spike testing, exactly. So this graph best represents a spike test. See, observe here, there are sudden spikes, for shorter duration. There are 2 spikes for a shorter duration, isn't it? See, okay. And let me explain one more thing in this graph. Okay. So this is called as, this is called as ramp up. This is called as ramp up period. Means users are slowly accessing the system. Morning 7 o'clock and everyone is waking up and started using WhatsApp. Slowly number of users are increasing, or Insta, right? Right. Now, after some time, there will be steady state. Means there will be around 1 lakh or 2 lakh users who will be accessing the application. And then from the evening time, slowly number of users, will be coming down. Number of users accessing the application will be coming down. By 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, it will become almost zero, approximately almost zero, not exactly zero. Right. So this is called as ramp up period. This is called as steady state, and this is called as ramp down period. Okay. Let me write it down here. This is called as ramp up. This is called as steady state. and this is called as ramp down. Ramp down means ramp up period is when users are increasing on the application. Slowly, number of users accessing the application are increasing. That period is called as ramp up period. And after some time it becomes almost same. It will not be exactly like this, but it will be almost flat. And then after evening or night, so all the users will be winding up their day, and the user load on the application will be coming down gradually, right? So these are the different different lines or different parts of a graph. Now if you observe here, see, this is ramp up. Okay, let me clear these drawings for a moment. Just give me a moment. See, this is called as ramp up. This period is called as ramp up here. And if we take this as normal user load, for example, this is your normal user load. In between there are two spikes, sudden spikes for shorter duration. Again it came to normal load. Again there is a spike, and again it came to usual. So this graph can you relate this to any application, real-time application? This graph, can you relate this graph to any real-time application? Yes, this graph best represents a spike test. That is correct, guys. As you told, most of you told. So can you relate any application? I'm asking, can you think of any application which which this graph resembles?
Where GHM.
No, not GHMC. It will not have two spikes.
Yeah.
Which application will? Huh? Yes.
Amazon in holiday sale, Christmas sale or something.
Christmas sale. Will it have two spikes? Exactly two spikes. Spikes for shorter duration.
Yes, sir. We have doorbusters. It for only last for 1 hour. It will be spike only.
What is that? Door? What is that?
Doorbusters, sir. Doorbusters.
Doorbusters.
Yeah,
Oh.
doorbusters. Only 1 hour.
It will be there for only 1 hour. Okay.
Yeah, night 11 to 12. Like yeah.
Okay. I'm not aware of what is the doorbusters. I don't know that actually.
For Thanksgiving Day, it will be doorbusters, sir. On night only we have to do online shopping.
Okay.
Short duration only we will get deals.
Okay. Okay. So I think Amazon US, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
Amazon. I think
on the day, every website, sir, even Walmart,
Uh-huh.
Amazon, every website, they will have doorbusters.
Doorbusters. Okay. Okay. All right. Next, what type of test does this graph best represents? See, what are we doing here? We are gradually increasing the user load. What type of test does this graph best represents?
Stress testing.
Stress testing. Yes, stress testing. That this graph best represents stress testing, because we are gradually increasing the user load. Observe here, we are ramping up, steady state. Again, ramping up user, steady state. Let me draw that. Okay. So we are ramping up user load here, and then maintaining some steady state here. And again ramping up the user load, again steady state, again ramping up the user load, and again maintaining some steady state. So we are gradually increasing the user load, right? So and this graph best represents a stress test, isn't it? What is the objective of doing stress testing? What is the objective of doing a stress test?
To identify breakpoint of app.
To identify the breaking point of the application, right? Ramya is a fresher, right? 2024 passed out, right, Ramya? Or 2023?
No, sir. 2021 passed out.
2021 passed out. Okay. But yeah, you don't have any experience, testing experience, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. And now what type of test does this graph best represents?
Endurance test.
SOAK test.
Endurance, SOAK or endurance testing, right? Because if you observe here, test duration is specified as 5 hours. 5H means 5 hours. I had already explained what is that tilde and what is that, H here in this graph, isn't it? Now this graph best represents a, yes, this graph best represents a spike test. And now what type of test does this graph best represents? Now observe here,
Volume.
in all the previous graphs you have on y-axis, you have virtual users only, isn't it? Right? Whereas here, on the y-axis, you have data quantity, right?
Volume test.
Right. So data quantity means nothing but number of records in the database. Now this graph best represents volume
Volume.
testing, right? This graph best represents volume testing, right? So guys, remember that, in interviews, they will not show you the graphs. They will not show you graphs and they will not ask you to identify. They will ask you to draw the graph. They will ask you to share your screen and draw the graph. Can you draw a graph for load testing, or can you draw a graph for soak testing, or how can you show me like how does the spike testing graph look like, right? So they will ask you to draw the graphs. They will not ask you to, they will not draw and they will not ask you to identify like this, right? But because this is training, I am showing you some graphs and like I'm asking you to identify them, right? So with this, we will stop it here, guys, for today. Tomorrow we'll discuss what is the importance of performance testing, what are the prerequisites for performance testing, what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing, and if possible, I will cover like waterfall model. I think we had already discussed, isn't it? I think we had already discussed waterfall model, right? It's a
No, sir.
No, sir.
okay. I think this is
Only stage
we had
six.
discussed recently in some other batch then. Okay, so we'll discuss like tomorrow. We'll discuss what is the importance of performance testing, what are the prerequisites for doing performance testing, what is waterfall and what is agile model, and application architecture. Okay, so I'll stop it here, guys, for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Any queries now? So we'll dedicate the last 5 minutes for any queries or any queries that you may be having. Any other new joiners, guys, apart from Jashil, Lavanya, and Saranya? Rajsekar. I'm seeing one new name, Rajsekar. Any queries, guys? And please remember, every application doesn't require all these types of testing, by the way. I already mentioned that every application doesn't require all these types of testing. Okay. So you need not, so you need to learn how to do load testing and soak testing. That is important. That is mandatory. And then stress and spike for your, for 3+ years experience. You need to learn at least, load testing, soak testing, stress and spike. You need to be familiar with these 4 types of testing. Okay. But if they ask, like volume testing, if you know, you can tell that. But you can say that I didn't get a chance to work on that because every application doesn't require all these types of testing. But these are the important ones in the order of priority. All right. So any queries before we close today's session? All right. So I'll take your silence as no, and I'll close the session for today. I stopped my screen share and I'm closing the meeting. And guys, by the way, this is our last demo session. So those who want to continue the training should confirm your joining today by paying the fees, right? So already few people confirmed their joining and paid fees, and I had added them to the Google Classroom as well, right? So for every batch, we have a Google Classroom where I will be giving assignments. And please, once you confirm your joining, please make sure that you were added to the WhatsApp group. Let me know if I missed anyone. Okay. And also please make sure that you are in the WhatsApp group, and please save my WhatsApp number so that you will not get otherwise you will not get updates from us. So please save my WhatsApp number if you want to receive updates from us. And and also I shared the playlist URL also to everyone in the batch who are attending the demo sessions, isn't it? So I had shared the playlist URL to those who are attending the demo sessions, where you have all the recorded sessions. So please go through this if you want to continue in this batch, right? So all these sessions will be 40 to 50 minutes only. Each of these session will be 40 to 50 minutes. Okay. So if you want to continue in this batch, you can go through this in parallel. Parallelly, you can go through this. and I'll be starting scripting, JMeter scripting from 30th July. Okay. We'll be starting scripting only on 30th July. Till then, we will be discussing fundamentals only. Till then, we will be discussing performance testing fundamentals. JMeter will be started from 30th July in this batch. And the batch regular timings will be most probably 10:30 to 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay. Because, most of the people who confirm their joining, opted for that timings. Majority of the people opted for 10:30 to 12. When we had a poll in the WhatsApp group. Any queries, guys? We conducted a poll in the July batch WhatsApp group, and majority of the people opted for 10:30 to 12. Let me show you that poll results, okay? And I'll close the session for today. Oh, it's not getting loaded. Previous messages are not getting loaded. Sorry, guys, I cannot show that. All right, once. And it will be both online and offline. By the way, I missed something important. So from 30th July onwards, it will be both online and offline. Both online and offline go in parallel. So I'll conduct, like online and offline training parallelly. Okay. And if we have enough strength, I want to continue one more batch from 9 to 10. I want to split into 2 batches, and one batch I want to run it from 9 to 10, and another batch I want to run it from 10:30 to 12. If we have enough strength only. Right. So please confirm your joining so that we'll get a clarity on the head count. And before you confirm your joining, please remember, one. Okay. So this training is for your own purpose only, and not to be shared with any of the training material or recording videos are not to be shared to anyone. All right. So let me show you that, warning or, like note that we will tell, we are including that in every, in every training material that we are sharing. Do not share any of the manual or performance testing. We also started automation also recently. So these are for your personal use only. And you are not supposed to share it to anyone else, and we will track all the details, and any violations will be subject to legal action. So before you pay the fees itself, I am telling this, or if you already paid your fees, I can refund you now also, right? Without any deduction, right? But if you have any other intentions, it's right time to disconnect, or right time to discontinue. And those who violate the terms and conditions will be excluded from the training batch and no fees refund. And we are also filing legal cases on them. And already, like, we had, 4 to 5 cases, 5 cases filed on some students, previous batch students, who are selling those recorded sessions and who are selling or who are misusing them. Right? If you want, I'll show you that, that police complaint also that I had filed on them. I'm not sure whether I have it on my new laptop or not, but let me check. So we'll take it very seriously, and we are filing police complaint on them. Those who are misusing the sessions are, those who are, some people are selling those recorded sessions, and we had filed some cases on them. I don't want to reveal those names, but these are the complaints that we have filed on them. So this is a format actually, right? I don't want to reveal those names online, right? But we will not ignore those, those violations, any of those violations. So please remember this. So if you already paid your fees, and if you want, if you are not comfortable with this, you can, get your fees refunded now also. Okay. So with this, I'll close the session, guys, for today. And we are giving some exemptions. You can share those, a training material. If you are married, you can share to your spouse, right? Obviously. And then to, like your siblings. So we are already giving some exemptions, right? Siblings means, what is meant by sibling, guys?
Own
Blood
brother.
relation.
Right. Own brother or sister. Okay. Own brother or sister. So you can share it to them. We don't have any issues. Okay. In fact, they can also join live training along with you. If they are sitting with you, if you are next to you, if you are there, they're joining along with you, they can also join along with you. Own brother and sister only. Okay. And that pledge doesn't apply here. So all Indians are my brothers and sisters. That pledge doesn't apply here. We are not running any 1+1 or 1+2 offers. And if you are married, you can share to your spouse also, right? They're already giving some exemptions. If you are married, you can share to your spouse. But other than that, you are not supposed to share, or you are not supposed to sell to anyone. All copyrights belong to us. You are not supposed to sell or share to anyone. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then with this, I'll close the session for today. So we are done with the demo sessions for this batch. So those who paid fees only will be continuing from tomorrow onwards. Any queries, guys, before we close today's session?